what he would say. And he got a response that he likes. I'm not looking at the same words. I'm like, where are they at? Also in this time period, this person named Hobbes. H-O-B-B-E, yes. Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes. E before the S.
Thank you.
So I can give you my notes, but I want to go in order. He says that there's this thing called a social contract. Okay? He introduces this concept of a social contract. He says there are things in the world that are nasty. There are things that are in the world that are nasty. People will do some messed up things. People will do some messed up things. Right, however you want to say it. And so, he says we need a government to control all that nastiness in the world. So, his idea is that we sort of engage in a contract with the government. We understand that people will do nasty things. And so, we agree with the government that we'll listen to their rules in exchange for them taking care of the nasty business that goes on in the world.
Good question.
The only reason I asked is because I don't know, but did Hobbes think that the social contract was a legitimate contract, or did he think of it as a contract entered by tacit consent?
He thought that it was necessary, but he was suspicious of picking a government or a group of people that would be able to adequately decide what was nasty versus not nasty, right? Because as far as he's concerned, people are inherently nasty. And so to pick a group of people who are going to control the other people was suspect. But he understood that that was going to exist, because if not, you'd have total chaos and nastiness. Is this about this question?
No, well, yes. Do you think he was inherently nasty, or was
Well, sure.
Okay.
Not everyone, right?
Okay.
Your person.
He introduces this idea of rights with responsibilities. He thinks everybody should have rights. They have a right to certain things, but you have to be responsible with those rights. So those are the major players during that time. I'm hitting the ones that are really influential. Can you see why some of these people influence the direction to which the world is in now? Let's talk about German critical philosophy. German critical philosophy. Ooh, it's hot. I'm just drinking a warmed up fish. Going back and forth. You're in a public speaking camp. If you notice what I'm doing, I'm drinking hot chocolate here. If you notice what I keep doing is I have several drinks of this. Drink what's in this red cup, which is water. Okay? Because I'm speaking, but this will make me sticky. This washes it down so I'm not sticky in my mouth. If I do it, you all should be doing it too when you're debating. No. Not unless you want to use your mace money, you'll get it. Alright, German critical philosophy. Some people call this German idealism. So if you're familiar with philosophy, you've heard this called German idealism. I don't know if some of the LDers might hear it that way. This group of people focused on thought and mind. They're concerned about how the mind reasons decisions. They're concerned about how the mind reasons decisions. Todd, let's switch the camera there. Let's let Drew Paul sit here. Drew Paul, I'm going to move you over here.
Right
You
here.
can see what Todd writes down. Because he's writing kind of synopsis, and then you'll be able to see better.
Sorry.
You're in a bad spot. And that was Todd's seat. Everybody else should be able to see okay, right? All right. A couple of infamous philosophers from the German critical philosophy period. Immanuel Kant. I don't know that song anymore. It's young. Kant. Have you heard the song Can't Touch This?
Yeah.
It's really spelled with a K. Kant. Immanuel Kant. K-A-N-T. He says that the way we reason decisions, we make decisions because we're interested in focusing on the means of getting there, not the ends. Okay? The means is how you get there, the ends is the consequence. How you get somewhere is what's important. So whatever's going to happen in the end is going to happen, but instead we should reason the most about how we're going to get there. That's what we should be thinking about what we're doing. And to him, if we're doing things sort of in a meaningful way in the beginning, our intentions were good, and most likely we're going to get a good outcome. This isn't proving always true. Hence, other people write the response to Kant. Okay? So, it's the means that are important. Another infamous person. Oh, sorry. We're going to talk about that. There, that is who responds later. All right, Hegel. H-E-G. Hegel, also a German philosopher. He says that truth always evolves. So your truth is always changing. What is true for you when you are sitting in these seats right now as teenagers is different than the truth that I have at 37. Everything influences that. He also thinks that truth will change based upon the circumstances, right? The socio-economic factors and the political scene influence what's true in a particular area at that time.
This means social
Both of these people strongly influenced Marx. That's why they're really important. Marx is the one who influences Hitler. Okay, so we're really getting into the big period where you see a lot of the outcomes of modern day, which is funny, modern day philosophy. Coming on the heels of this is utilitarianism. Around the same time, utilitarianism, this concept pops up. Starts leading to some of my favorite periods. Utilitarianism means the greatest good for the greatest number. The greatest good for the greatest number. At the time, this concept, which was introduced really by Bentham, most people just equate it with Mill. We'll talk about both those people in a second. All right, utilitarianism became a form of social policy. Okay. Social policy, in other words, well, governments could follow, it was sort of how small sections of communities dealt with punishment, right? So if the question is the greatest good for the greatest number, if you commit a crime, you should be punished because that's what's good for the larger group.
Question.
Where did it come from? Oh, yeah.
When you just talked about punishment, like if you do something, it's like an act of God. Isn't that kind of like
I didn't say anything about an eye for an eye. I just said, when you do something wrong, you should be punished. I don't know that it's necessarily like you stole so you chopped your hand off, right? Some of that existed more in the medieval period. Yeah. He was, when this was introduced, this was how they were trying to talk about how a justice system should exist. So, the first person that really makes this idea big, and although he's not really credited with it too much anymore, is Bentham. Bentham, one of the coolest reads that exist in philosophy. One of the coolest concepts I'm here to tell you. If you're looking for a place to start with Bentham. He has some really cool ideas. This is sort of some of the basis of the power relation stuff which I'm really into. He says that humans naturally select pleasure and not pain. We will do what brings us the most pleasure. The idea of a masochist would blow Bentham away. Not much later. Thanks. But humans seek pleasure. What's cool about this guy is that when utilitarianism starts to become popular and trying to reform the justice system and social policy, they come to Bentham. Okay? And somebody else will talk more about the power relations. Bentham kind of takes the credit for it. They come to him and they want to reform, they want a social reform, right? Things are getting out of control. How do we make sure that we can get the greatest good from the greatest number? How do we effectively punish? What should we do? And he conceptualizes this idea called the panopticon. P-A-N. The panopticon. This is an ideal prison system. So his idea is.
The box on the screen, I've seen it before.
Okay. So the panopticon, when you're in prison, right, the whole idea is trying to get reforms all the time. The guards in the prison sit here. I should make my face more like this. I'm not necessarily sad. The guards sit in the center. And all the prisoners, now they're sad. This one might be a little crazy, so he thinks this is great. This person is like, how do I get out of here? And this person is also mad. The idea of the panopticon is that if we can see you, we can control you. So they put the guards in the center, and then no matter which way they turn, right, they can see them. But here's a really tricky thing. I didn't have this concept back in the day, but I'll use it today. It might be like a two-way mirror. You don't know when you're being watched. The way it's set up is someone can come and see you at any point, but you don't know exactly when. So if someone can always be watching you, what does that force you to do? Right, you're always going to behave. So he designs this prison system. Now this prison system never actually comes into effect. Okay, there are variations of it that later exist, but never the way he really talks about it. They try to start building it, and they're like, shit, this is expensive.
Let's just put them in a separate.
Mm-hmm.
Call it a day.
If you would have them today, they would be called two-way mirrors. They didn't exist in the 19th century, but that was the problem, right? Trying to create, seeing them all the time without them seeing you.
We could blindfold
Yeah.
them. Does everything on this sound so I can
All right.
read this?
What's cool about this idea is the concept of self-regulation. This is when self-regulation becomes popular with philosophers. Self-regulation. The way he introduces it. Also popular under utilitarianism is the person who's the most credited for it, Mill. Mill, M-I-L-L. John Stuart Mill. Alright. Mill says that we're in charge of our own actions, but we have sort of an obligation to the higher powers in society, right? Same idea. The utilitarian, he thinks that we probably need to have punishments because we have this obligation to the greater good. Pardon me? Okay. So, Mill thinks that if we harm others, we should be punished because that's what's good for the greater good. Question or comment?
Question. Can you explain Mill's dictum in 1962?
No, right now I can't.
Okay.
That would take me a long time. So, in your LD lab, we definitely can. But that's something that for this purposes would take me, that's like a half an hour at least of conversation for you to really get it. So, we have a lecture at 10:30. But Jackie will definitely talk about it. Alright, somebody else have a... Alright, let's go to the next period. We're only at about the 19th century. I want to try to get to modern day, so we gotta book it.
We got 100 more years to go.
Right. American Transcendentalism. American Transcendentalism. You'll write it. T-R-A-N. S then C. Transcendentalism. E-N-T-A-L-S. American Transcendentalism. This is the idea of rejecting certain Puritan societies, alright? We're living now in more of the, colony period, right? And if you remember, who is it that came over here to land on Plymouth Rock? Pilgrims, and they were Puritans, right? So it gives you kind of an idea of where we're at. So, American Transcendentalists are trying to reject that idea of Puritan society. They say it's too oppressive, too focused on religion. Well, the problem is, right, you're so focused on religion, these people think that it's kind of hard to enjoy certain things in life. Or you're always going along with whatever God says you should do. Or you're a preacher. Famous people under this, and I like this because they write some cool things, is Emerson, the poet. Emerson's kind of a cool cat.
Two M's and one.
One. Writes a bunch of poetry, but what most people don't know is that Emerson lives in a commune, and that appeared in society. That's kind of crazy. A commune is where a group of people sort of live together, and they take care of their little neighborhood, but they don't necessarily have just one partner. And not all of them are like this, but Emerson's was. He would say that groups can naturally regulate themselves. Like, we don't need some big, powerful person, especially some preacher telling us what's right and wrong, and using right in his ideas, then it was his. his ideas of right and wrong. What else did I qualify that? Let me give you features. We don't need someone qualifying what's right and wrong for us, but the groups will naturally regulate themselves. And all that evil stuff that happens, that the preacher talks about, if your group works together and everyone in the group has the idea that you're all together for the common good, all those sort of evil moments, those bad moments will stay at bay, right? Those bad moments won't come, those evil moments won't happen, if everyone's sort of living in harmony together. This was a small section. He was very influenced by Moore's Utopia. And so their little communes, I guess, he thought were the closest one could get to Utopia. He must have liked it because his poetry's kind of happy.
Yeah, there was a...
Right. Yes. I can't remember. What's your name? Austin, that's right. Austin J.
Did he get, like, telling me that idea from, like, capitalism, or, like, it's not saying that,
The idea of what you see as capitalism now did not exist, right? That was not a term of art quite yet. It wasn't quite as indoctrinated as now. The idea of a market system to which people earn what they have, yes. But a full concept of capitalism, not quite there yet. But yeah. Right, Thoreau. Don't throw out the baby with bathwater. Thoreau. T-H-O. A.
Hey, what?
Thoreau. I always find this easy to remember because I think of this. It's a person. His name is Thoreau.
Why can't his name just be Jack? Or Bob.
Thoreau. He introduces the idea of civil disobedience. Civil disobedience. Anybody know who used this a lot? What movement? Somebody do. Civil rights movement, right? A lot of this comes from Thoreau. Right, this is not what this time frame is, but I wanted to kind of let you see. Civil disobedience with Thoreau. He says, if a law or a rule is unjust, it's okay to violate it. If a rule or a law is unjust, it's okay to violate this rule. He says that with civil disobedience, if there's a law that's wrong, if you do this, if you use civil disobedience, you can change society. If enough people think that a law is wrong, they'll be able to change society. We're going to talk about another concept now. Actually, let's take a second. Let's take a quick bathroom break.
He sucks into the game.